Sacred Souljourners, a space where we gather around the fire for storytelling.
This is a journey of spiritual awakening, learning to trust in the universe and aligning to our highest path.
It's through our voices from the perspective of the masculine and the feminine, which is the real-life dance between us, where we are going to share stories about our journey, our triggers, our love, all as we walk with the universe, not against it.
Zan and I are two souls having our human experience, who are walking through the fire together with our three dogs. And now, we're inviting you in to witness. If you've been feeling the pull to awaken,
Then you can finally start to trust.
and then to align to your highest good.
Now, you're exactly where you're meant to be. Hello and welcome to the Sacred Souljourners podcast. I am your co-host, Zan Kavanaugh.
I'm your other co-host, Troy Hawkman.
Okay, perfect. This is our first video feed, so we're super excited. So right before this podcast, there was a crow on our tree, and he was doing this really weird gurgling sound that was like I don't even know what that sound is. And I was like, what is happening out there? But obviously that was a sign. And so I just wanted to read that it represents the death of a pattern, identity, or illusion. And it says that this version of you is done. So I'm very excited that that is part of this conversation because we are on the line with Heather and Jason Powers from the Powers of Love. And I will do a formal intro, but real quick, I want to say that these are dear friends of mine. For about 15 years ago, we met on a dolphin cruise with our other friend, Michelle, who was leading it. And we've been friends the whole time. And it's just great that, we were doing ceremony way back when we were all coming online. And it's beautiful to have that full circle now that Troy is coming online. And we're going to have some great conversation tonight about couples and how do we navigate in a more conscious aspect and way than just getting through it. So I'm going to just briefly introduce Heather and Jason. They are relationship recovery specialists and registered substance abuse and mental health counselors and the founders of Powers of Love. They've been doing this for a long time. Beautiful souls who have been doing the work and so grateful. Over a decade, you guys have been working in clinical work and living their own journey through addiction, trauma, and relational healing, which people know if you've been listening to our podcast that we've been talking about that. But it goes much deeper than insight, and they affect the kind of change that changes how people show up in their life and with the people that you love. So through intensive couples mentoring, immersive retreats, and one-on-one coaching, the Powers of Love create a space where the real work can finally happen, held by this beautiful couple who have done the work. And that we know that it's, you don't actually teach something that you teach it while you're going through it. So with that, I also want to say that
Your feet's been in the fire.
and we came out the other side.
Yeah.
One thing I really, before I let you guys share, on your website, it says that love is a transformative power that often is overshadowed by distractions and conflicts. Your vision is to guide couples in embracing an evolutionary relationship, one that nurtures their sacred purpose and creates a profound impact on the world. I would love to start off with, sharing what that evolutionary relationship looks like, because to people listening, because our audience is for the spiritually curious, they really either want to save the relationship or they want to enter into it consciously. What does an evolutionary relationship look like, and what's the benefits of it for, for us anyway?
Do you want to take that first, baby?
Thank you.
Yeah, go.
First of all, that's inspired by the work of Chris Sade and Andrew Harvey. It's a great book for those that are curious. It's called Evolutionary Love Relationships, and it's really sacred activism in the form of relationship. That when obviously we know love is the most powerful force in the universe. And then when an individual and two individuals come together and allow that love to evolve beyond the confines of what our parents did or what our parents' did, and we evolve the way we engage with each other, that becomes a sacred activism in itself. That becomes a transmutative power just by being, not even necessary to say anything. But, so it's changing the way that we engage as far as like, I'm the man and I have the word and, what I say goes and, you just cook and clean and you do everything you're supposed to do. And it's like, like
Not you in a million years.
not at all.
Yeah, that works around here.
So it's an evolutionary model of relationship that, men are coming online, as we say. I like that you chose that, coming online, meaning, okay, wait, I go that long journey from the head to the heart and go, okay, I can actually feel and I can talk about my feelings as a man, and a woman can be strong and she doesn't have to be total masculine. She can be, so that's what comes to my mind.
Yeah, I think that's wonderful. I think another part of that is two people, for talking to people that are curious and maybe earlier in their journey, it's as simple as two people consciously doing relationship and not just repeating the patterns of maybe the love that was modeled for them, the love that we get in our entertainment and movies and books and all of these things. It's two people who have decided to really consciously build that internal relationship with the beloved within and learn how to enact that with each other. Because I think a lot of times, we'll talk, I'm sure, about codependency, but a lot of relationships are in the trap or the loop of completing each other with the other person, and the love that the other person offers is not love I have for myself. So it's really learning how to come back to ourselves and the relationship that we have with God as the basis of what we can share, not what we can get from each other.
Beautiful. Do you want to light the fire?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Light that fire, firekeeper.
Yeah, I got it.
Okay.
Nice.
Would you like to say something?
Well, I'm glad to be here, excited. So excited to get to know these guys and be able to take their wisdom. I've just been coming on for the last 6 months, been struggling. Man, it's been a struggle. Good night, it's been a struggle. It's been very rewarding. One of the things I deal a lot with is being triggered from how I've operated for the last 55 years and trying to change that. And I've got some questions for that. As you're talking about love. Scripture says that faith, hope, and love is the greatest of these. And love, to me, looking at it now, from compared to how I used to look at it, love can outrun any problem. And if we apply it and operate from that instead of operating from how I used to. Jason, I got a question for you.
Yeah.
In a person's awakening, as they come online, and for me, the awareness of how I operated was one of the first things that shifted. Wait a minute, I'm trying to become the higher person of who I can be. Because not doing that doesn't serve me, and it don't serve her or anybody I'm in relation with. Noticing that change needs to happen, and once I notice it, that trigger, and from that trigger, what I do more often than not, or what I used to do, was react instead of respond. And in those reactions, operating from the shadow, of course, it kind of opens the door to doing something different. I'm curious, how much of that is just pattern versus something stronger, like that pattern being an addiction?
Good question.
So the question, if I understand, is like, how do I recognize if it's a pattern that I'm interrupting? And how do I navigate that to respond instead of react?
Yeah. In other words, my issue is with a trigger, and it's always been this way my whole life. I'm 0, and then I'm 38 hot in 0.29 seconds.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
I guess my question is Is that just a pattern interruption that needs to take place, or is there an addiction in there with it?
Well, I think it's a combination. I
question.
think that's a
Yeah.
great question. I think,
Mhm.
I mean, let's just know this, like in detoxing, right? Just when you start detoxing, whether it's physically or we work in residential detox treatment centers. I had a friend of mine who, you eat fruits and vegetables, let's say. You eat fruits and vegetables, right? You just put more love and light in your body in the fruits and vegetables, right? You're going to start having headaches. You're going to start having nausea. You're going to start feeling some aches and pains in your body system because you're putting more love and more light, literally, from the earth into your body system. And so
Right.
all the bad stuff
Stuck
there, keeping it clean still, will start coming up. And so when we start getting into a really evolved, conscious, high vibrational relationship in our intention, love's going to call out what is no longer serving the highest good. And so there's the pains, there's the headaches, and it's going to reveal it in ways that, nothing else would. Like we can co-sign each other's BS in a lower vibrational relationship. But when we have
I
two
love that.
beings who are like, you know what? We're going north, we're going higher. And God, she's shaking up, breaking up, the ship is breaking up. And I'm going to start feeling some things that I never even knew were there. Like when I started in this relationship, I didn't realize how angry I was. Oh
Well, that's
my
me.
God. I've got
Yeah.
cracked doors, you guys, in my house, man. I'm a calm, pretty guy. I'm pretty calm, cool, and collected. But man, this love called something out of me. Like and it was touching on the places where love needed to be poured in. Rumi says the wound
Yeah.
is where the light gets in. So when we start bringing more love, more intentional, it's going to be uncomfortable to the places that may have never received it. And the light's going to illuminate. And so, thank God for this relationship. And that's the hardest part. When you set your intention on like, I'm going to go for conscious evolutionary love.
Yep.
Hold on.
Yeah.
Right.
That's what we're talking about in the awakening journey.
Mhm.
Hold on, because the pink fluffy clouds and the romantic love is beautiful, but it's going to usher in transformation.
Yeah.
Right.
If I could just add to that it is an addiction. It is a physiological response because a lot of the chemicals that we produce when we go into deep fear or shame or anger, there is an addictive quality to it and the neural pathways that get created. Like Jason said, it's kind of tandem. It's like we do have a choice, but part of the choice is recognizing that there's a physiological response that's so ingrained when I feel protective or shameful. I think that's another thing. When we feel powerless or shameful, it's like that anger can become a protective shield for the more vulnerable feelings that are underneath it that might need a little bit of space, for us to examine. Like, what is it that I'm really feeling underneath the anger? What's it? Yeah.
In that moment,
Yeah.
right? It to me, my observation of it, and I have it too, but I go over it real quick. I go up and down, and then I'm done. Like I'll have okay, but he'll stay in it a little bit, and then he'll realize what's going on, and so I think he's just really curious about how to that pattern interrupt, and it's funny because we've talked to our friend Michelle about it, and she says you have to have a funny word. And so our funny word we've come up with is zippity doodah. And so like,
Yeah.
I don't know. How
It's kind of comical, bless God,
does it work?
zippity doo dah.
Does it work?
Yeah.
Does it work when you're in it?
Well, yeah,
I don't know,
mean,
like-
it makes me think.
Yeah.
But,
Yeah.
I
And
mean, it's like dynamite. I mean, it starts off
Yeah.
here. Next thing you know, it's here within, and then, you're ready to be a bulldog. And
Yeah.
I'm a man.
Yeah.
I've had to fight this, and one of the things I struggled with in the beginning was knowing what to do with it, and I would get that way. Okay, I'm this way, and I'm just gonna be this way. Well, one thing I've started doing was looking where it's at, where I'm feeling, and then I let it know I see you. I kind of talk to it, and it has, over the 6 months, it has gotten easier to where I'm not allowing it to control me like it did. But it's still there. It's still there, man.
Yeah.
I've
That's-
operated
that's-
that way for 55
That
years.
it's awareness, I often say, is key, right? Awareness is key. Like if I become aware now, I can have choice.
Mhm.
If I don't have awareness, I don't have choice. Because I'm automatic, And so part of this journey, 6 months in, brother, I mean, you're just You're on a crash course. You're with Zan. You know what I mean? You're on a high street bullet train. You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
I know, man.
buckle up.
It's intense.
But the awareness is key. And it's like, I don't want to get too clinical here, but there's thing called IFS, internal family systems, right? So it's our
Mhm.
little kiddo, and our shadow work, as we've talked about
Right.
before. Shadow work is
Exactly.
like it's that little one inside. It's not feeling safe. It's feeling some fear and feeling some doubt or feeling whatever feels. And it's like, okay, I hear you. I see you. That makes sense that you feel that, but we only get to that in the pause. And so we learn that, man, I'm inflamed. Take a pause, bring some awareness. What's this really about? Where am I feeling this? Why am I feeling this? Right, wrong, or indifferent, as we like to say in our home.
There's all grainy.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
You said create a pause.
Yeah.
You were talking about creating some kind of a pause in that moment.
What do you think has helped you create a pause? Because I've seen such growth in this for you. Like you've really turned a corner there. What has been that for you and the pause?
Well, the pause is hard for some of us who are avoidant, or no, we're more reactive, more anxious attachment style. You know what I mean? Like, oh God, no, we're going to fix it now. I need to get this clear now. And I
Right.
can't, no,
That's
don't
me.
leave this. Don't hang up the phone on me. Do not close the door. Don't run away because my anxious attachment. And that's that little Jason. It's like, no. You're not going to abandon me, reject me like my mom and dad did. You know what I mean? Like that's coming online. And it's like, oh, it's okay.
Yeah.
It's okay. Space is good. And in that space, I've been able to go, okay, I calm my nervous system down because I'm in fight, flight, freeze, right? And your whole nervous system goes wham, it's lit up. And Dr. Joe Dispenza says we get addicted to our negative states, our negative thinking. That is an addiction. I want to remind us that that's become a way, and we've just kind of used to that. That's an old blanket that we know really well.
Mhm.
We remind ourselves our intention is love. Our intention is let God do what God's going to do. Spirit do however you see your higher power. Like let that pause speak to you for a second. And 9 times out of 10, I'm like, you know what? I see my part. She might be wrong still. There might be something that she needs to
She's
see.
never wrong.
No, that's not true.
I'm definitely wrong.
That's not true. That's an old model. She's never wrong. That is an old model. Sometimes she is wrong, but it doesn't even matter. Like if I come and I lead going, you know what? I see that I was holding on there. I see that my tone, I see in the pause, I start seeing things.
Right. I think it's really, especially when the dynamics between two different types of attachment wounds come together, because usually, he tends to lean more in the anxious style. I tend to be more avoidant, that when things start to get intense, I close down. I need space. I flood very easily. And so my way of processing is I need to pull back. And when you get two different styles together, sometimes it's like triggering your worst fears and they're opposite, right?
Right.
So this is like we've had, I think, such a huge change in our relating to one another when we were able to fully take accountability for our own feeling, our own contribution, our own state, rather than trying to correct or fix the other person the way that they're experiencing it. And I think that more than anything else started really changing, because now there's space for both people to feel, and they both matter. It's not that, your feelings don't matter, but that we can come back and choose to say we can come back to this when we're not highly activated anymore.
Okay.
But that pause
Yes.
can be scary. That can be very frightening, because there's a research has shown that the feeling of abandonment is equal to the feeling of death.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Right.
That was a real primal fear that we as men, if the men that are hearing this, like if you feel that pause is the scariest thing in the world, okay, that's okay. Face that fear. Fear is false evidence appearing real. You're good. Really, you're good. The pause is going to be fine, but we need to face that fear and going, okay, let me just go out and be with the birds. Let me go out and just be with the wind.
Some self-care.
Let me go light a candle and get with the fire,
Yeah.
Right.
And do you think that also represents kind of like a loss of control? Because I too have it where it's like if we, and I don't know what the style is, but I'm more resonating with Heather on what you had talked about the style. But
The avoidant.
if you could stay in control of your world, then everything around can be safe, right? And I would
Yes.
say that this relationship has put dynamite into that bucket and blown all that control out.
Yeah.
And then you're looking around like, OS, now what do I do? And
Yeah.
so, for men, I would think that's what they're used to, right? That's just part of, being a man. Am I speaking to some truth or?
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. Going back to what he said, as far as, men kind of have that mentality of being the control guy.
Yeah,
Uh,
totally.
I think about, you talked about abandonment. That's been one of my biggest child wounds.
Yeah.
I came into this world without a father. My father, when he found out my mom was pregnant with me, he left. So I've never met my real father. My mom left me in 10th grade. At 17 years old, I'm going to work for the first time in my life, supporting myself.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
that's been a major issue since the awakening and understanding the abandonment trauma that took place. And I look back now and see how that I've operated from that my whole
Yeah.
life
Yeah.
of that fear coming in.
Yeah.
And then you take Zan or like Miss Heather, when those triggers happen, it brings that fear up and it's very real,
Yeah.
And,
Yeah.
and I know it's not intentional. It's not done to hurt,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
that's been a hard one for me. That is one of my biggest triggers and biggest things to overcome.
Yeah. Well, I appreciate your vulnerability, brother. No, I mean, it just, especially around here, the fire, right? We're around the fire. We're bringing
Right.
real conversation. That's what lights our hearts on fire is, and just, there's so much coming through my heart, but Brene Brown talks about the power of vulnerability, right?
Yes. Oh my gosh.
Courageous people are wholehearted. They're courageous in their vulnerability. And, understanding that love's going to bring up that fear because I don't want to lose that love. I don't want to be
Right.
abandoned by that love, and
Yeah.
this is the greatest love I've ever had. And, I know that you guys are experiencing a profound connection and obviously you love each other. And that's a reminder. It's like, this is my ally. This is my lover, to remind ourselves we're not enemies is the hardest part. When we're triggered, she
Right.
becomes my enemy for some weird reason, the ego
Right.
takes over
Yeah.
and it's like,
Don't hurt
Yeah.
me.
Well,
There's
even the addiction you talked about with the negative thinking.
Yeah.
I lived from that for so long, and I've really getting a lot better at catching that now. And then I make it be a positive thought. Look how she shows up for me. Look how this,
Yeah.
that's really helped. Is because of the anytime something doesn't go well, why do we automatically go to the negative instead of going to a positive? And I've really started setting the intention and trying to focus more on going to a positive instead of the negative. It's just being in the work. It's been tough. I mean, it's been so wonderful, but then there's the hard side to it too.
And I want to talk to that and also say that he is doing the work and it's beautiful. And I really hope that our podcast does support people listening, like we're your friends, because it's not easy. I watch him and I think, well, I don't know if I could do that. I've had 20 years to go through and I still have my stuff too, right? And so when we get into that, when he gets into that conflict with himself, it's like shrapnel that comes at me and I'm just like, okay, how do I process this in a way that keeps my own peace? And that's really what the lessons have been for me, is to keep my own peace with it. But I have a question, Heather. What does real repair look like after a blow up? Because sometimes it comes as an I'm sorry, but after a lot of I'm sorries, what do you guys do so that it feels, it anchors, right? And as a woman, like, what does Jason do that makes you feel like he really is sorry? Because sorry just becomes this go-to word that doesn't necessarily have a frequency that, I mean, I appreciate it, but it's also like, I want to like line into that energetics. And so I'm just curious for you? How does that work for you?
That is such a great question. It's something I think that we've grown in a lot, because I think when our wounded self is looking for someone to blame that they hurt me or they did something wrong, we're wanting an apology or the changed behavior to fix it. But I think another thing that we've probably turned a corner in and really grown in is that we both really want the same thing, right? And that there's something underneath, because we're always going to bump up against each other and hurt or wound each other unintentionally because of our wounds. There's a verse that says, Jesus said, in order to enter the kingdom, you have to become like a little child. When you realize that all of these childhood patterns are the things that are running, there's a compassion that I think we can bring not only to our own experience, but for the other person, that regardless of what's going on, the impact that I just had on the other person, I have to have compassion for that too. We don't intend to hurt each other. And the little child, as Jason was saying, is that exiled part of us that holds all of those wounds and memories of love not being safe, or where we didn't receive the kind of love and validation and attention and nurturing that we needed early on. So that part of us, sometimes when the emotion just takes over, like you were saying, it just takes over so fast. Because when fear rises, that's what happens. I think for us, we've gotten better at not blaming each other for how the other person's feeling. But when there's enough space, we're able to come back and talk about what it is that we really want and need from each other. In fact, we were just at a beautiful retreat a few weeks back, and we were in a jacuzzi, and this beautiful woman was kind of guiding us through a very simple process, but we each got to take turns saying, when I'm feeling stressed or like not heard, or like I don't matter, what I need from you is whatever that thing is. And then turning it to the other person. When I'm feeling like you're mad at me and you're really intense and you're taking it all out on me, in that moment, what I really need to know is, right, when we're starting to understand what the other person needs rather than just what we need in the moment, and making sure that the other person gives it to me.
Right.
It starts to shift the atmosphere.
Well, that goes along with don't make assumptions as well, right?
Yes.
I think as women, or I'll speak for myself, is I can make an assumption like, well, you should know that that's not going to work for me, or that feels uncomfortable for me, and it's pausing and realizing, okay, like, and it's something that I'm still working on, which is like, okay, he's in his trigger. Like, there's no point in reacting right now because it's not going to make any difference. He's in his zone. So I'm definitely, I hold my own and I don't back down, because sometimes it has nothing to do with me. And I'm like holding my own vision. And so I'm curious if like being softer in those moments and saying, I hear you. And so I don't know. I don't really know in those moments when he's in that trigger how to kind of, get out of it. Cause for me, it goes back to control. You're trying to tell me what to do. And you guys know me. That doesn't work for me ever. And so, I get into a corner where it's just like, and then I push back. And so, which isn't very helpful. It puts me back into my masculine. And the times that our relationship is so sweet and beautiful is when he's in the masculine and I get to be in the feminine.
Yes.
And I get to be vulnerable, and I get to be soft, and I get to be like cute. And because I really have been independent and strong for so much of my life that I don't really get to be that way. And I want to do that. And he wants to as well. Like, I talk about him being the king. And so it's in those moments of the resistance, like, I used to have to brace myself, and now it's better because he's doing the work. But that was the source of my question.
Oh my gosh. I resonate with so much of what you've shared. And I think that we would agree that when we're kind of in our natural masculine and feminine roles, like, and I don't, you know what I mean by that, when we have like that, just that naturalness, that playfulness does come out in the femininity, and it allows him to be strong and grounded and rooted. And I think we've definitely had some blossoming happen there, which feels like there's so much more safety in our relationship for the playfulness to be present. But I do agree that rather than just being soft in those moments, soft with a boundary is really helpful.
Mm-hmm.
Soft with, you know what, let's take a pause and we'll come back to it when we're not as triggered, when we both can hear each other, and make a commitment to
Zippity-doo-dah.
actually do that. What's
Yeah,
that?
exactly.
Come back and then, but really come back to it. I think the other thing is for me, for a while, it was like we would take a pause, but we would take a pause both really frustrated and activated. And I would go into my space or, you know, go on a walk or whatever, but I wouldn't come back for the engagement to pull him back in.
Mm-hmm.
Or sometimes when I did, he was still wanting me to take responsibility for the whole thing. And I think what starts shifting is like, if we both can see what we're both contributing to this,
Yes.
we both feel valued. Would you say that's like what you've experienced more?
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I have totally, I mean, I have a whisper in my head that something from Evolutionary Love Relationship by Chris and Andrew, they talk about in evolutionary love, we protect each other's wounds.
Yeah.
And that, I
Mm.
want to presence that because, you know, it takes away the blame and the criticism and the you did this, you're doing this. Like, look, I understand Heather, it's not my job to heal her.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's not our job to heal each other,
Yeah.
but and where we recognize the wound and the trigger, it's like, look, evolutionary love is like, look, I'm gonna hold space for that. I'm gonna go, you know what can I do to support that? Because I know, you know,
Right.
judgment is a major wound for Heather. And
Right.
so it brings up all that. I'm a bad girl. I'm gonna go to hell because she's a PK, pastor's kid. You know what I mean? All of that.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, so if I come off like because of my wound, you know, I'm healing myself. So I want to hold that space for that trigger and not be compassionate.
Mm.
I don't need to fix it. It's not my job to heal it, but I can hold that guarded,
Mhm.
compassionate, big space. You know, when one of us is doing our best, you know, when we both fall off the beam and we're all out to lunch for a moment, it's challenging. But if one of us can come back to center and go, and you know what, I take responsibility for the way I said what I said. I'm still feeling what I'm feeling, but I could set it in a different way. And I really do, you know, but I think before we even get there, everybody, we got to have that, like our intention is greater than the human love,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
The ways we've engaged for so long in our egoic lower base self, you know, we're reaching for something higher. If our intention is, then we're going to do those kind of things, right?
Yeah,
Mhm.
totally. I mean, I think the more we've been able to say ultimately, even though we have different styles of wounds or attachments, at the bottom of it, we want to feel loved, understood, supported, valued, listened to, appreciated, and given grace. You know, if we
Yeah.
And
both
grace.
want that,
Yeah.
we both want that, right? So what is my part of the piece in making that happen? Because when it's both of us on the side of whatever the issue is, rather than it's my issue against your issue, that's where the problem is. And when, you know, my wound is judgment, but I can become very judgmental when I'm feeling like his trigger is really escalated, and he can become really judgmental when I'm shutting down and not living up to his expectations. So it's just turning it back on ourselves. How can I bring my loaves and fishes to this equation
Mm-hmm.
where the miracle for both of us can happen?
You know, because as awareness expands, compassion deepens, and I think that that's crucial in any relationship is the compassion for each other and the space. And so, do you guys have any kind of ritual that you do, like a celebration, like we made it through that trigger and let's come back together? Like, is there anything that I was just curious?
No ritual, but we often will be like, you know, we've been on the phone afterwards and he'll call me and he's like, I'm so proud of us for moving through that, you know, just an acknowledgement. But I don't think we have, I mean, other than
Mm-hmm.
making love sometimes.
Yeah, it just sweet love.
There we
That's a
go.
good ritual.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a sense, you feel it when you've broken through a pattern. You
Yeah.
know?
Yep.
I love that. We don't, you know, we're not big on a whole lot of, I mean, the ritual that we have, you guys, is we put our rings on a beautiful crystal that our dear friend Eden had gifted to us at our ceremony in Peru when we got married. It's this
Mm.
beautiful crystal that we charge our rings every night, and that's something that we're in the habit of doing. But
We do pray together.
We do acknowledgments before we go to bed of things that we've accomplished during the day that has helped us individually and as a couple.
Love
Yeah,
that.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's good. So we end the day with like, okay, we have to go find
gratitude.
things that we did during the day that
What went
is
well? Yeah,
beneficial.
I love that.
Love that. We're gonna have to try that. That's beautiful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We have about 15 more minutes.
15 minutes. Jason, help me understand. I've been reflecting on that scripture about faith, hope, and love, and love being the greatest. Something I've really, it's just been on my heart. You know, I want to be that, as Ram Dass says, loving awareness to everybody, anytime. And but with that said, love being the greatest, it makes me wonder if for men the real work is learning how to embody that without feeling like we're giving up our masculine.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, I love that. And it reminds me so much in there. And I love that we can connect to scripture, you know what I mean? Because there's so much wisdom,
Totally.
Greater love hath no one that he laid down his life for his friend,
Right.
right? So in that, love calls us to die to ourselves. As men, we die to our selfish ways for greater love to be birthed. Something old has to go. Love is it's that love. First Corinthians, right? Love is patient, love is kind. It does not envy. It's not proud. It's not boastful. It's not self-seeking. It's not keeping a record of the wrongs. I'm not building resentments. I'm not looking at all the ways you've hurt me. I'm looking at ways that how I can lay down my life and lay down my pride, because I found, grace, we've spoken, grace is like, I've experienced more grace with Heather in my life than ever. And it's because I'm willing to die to myself, because it's in the surrender I've found in my own life. It's in my surrender that I enter the portal of grace. I can't force grace. Grace doesn't come without surrender in my awareness and my experience. And so, I can sit there and profess to have all the knowledge of all the things, and I can speak in tongues of angels, and I can have faith that moves mountains, and I know the hermetic laws of the universe, and I can manifest like that. But if I have not love for the one in front of me, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. I've found that surrendering, like, to that banner that we know is the higher love. We keep that banner over us, right? It's that I know that love will pull us through, but I have to surrender to a higher love than my own selfish love in that moment, when I know God's calling us to a greater thing. And that's been, we often say a cord of three strands is not easily broken. It's weaving this love around the divine, around God, around the spirit, around that higher calling, that purpose that's greater than me and what I want, what Heather wants. That's what's pulled us through so much to allow greater love. I continue. We're 13 years together, 10 years almost married. And guys, we're experiencing greater love than we've ever experienced. And there's newer versions of ourselves. We're so different than we were a year ago. Like, it's just, you keep shedding and you keep shedding. And I think that's a big thing of evolutionary love, is you're going to be different people.
Yeah.
And the only way you're going to be different is you let go of what no longer serves the we.
Right.
There's a great book I'm reading by Robert Johnson called We right now. And it's about that, getting out of romantic love and getting into true sacred partnership. And it's a beautiful journey, man, that I'm so grateful to know and embody love in a way I've never known and experienced.
Okay, we're back. Depending on how this is going to go, I might be editing it, or we might just say that we had a snafu. That's because we had so much love emanating from this that the dark forces were like,
That's
we
right.
can't have this much love going out into the world.
Healthy relationships? No.
Right? Exactly. Because, there's the truth to that, is that the more loving your relationship is, right? We all know that one positive thought equals like 40 positive thoughts actions out into the world, right? So if you have a loving relationship, then that's going to exponentially carry out and support other people. I just want to say a small story. So we went to a wedding last weekend, and my legs were hurting me because I rode the bike in the morning and like hurt my knees and I couldn't hardly walk. It was not fun. It was hot. And anyway, a song came on. And so I just asked if he would dance in the corner of the room with me. And so we just, by our table, we were just dancing together. And it was great because we got to connect and dance. And I didn't really think anything of it. And then later, someone had come up to me and they said, "Oh, we saw you guys dancing in the corner of the room," and that was so sweet. And so I find that a lot of people will comment on the way that Troy and I express ourselves just in our own loving experience, and that's when we do that, that's rippling out to other people to witness and to question within themselves, And if anybody's out there thinking about how you can make your relationship better, it is about being conscious and aware, because once you move through some of that muck and, like Troy will come back to me and say, "I just love you so much. And I just want the best for this relationship." And it melts my heart. And at that moment, I forgive and forget so that we can, move forward on the path and have this beautiful, loving relationship, because it's worth it. It's worth it to cross those bridges and to get to a space where you are partners. And is there anything that you want to add to that before we move on?
Not really, other than I do notice, since my awakening, coming in spiritually, being conscious of paying attention to, I do notice that there's a deeper love in my heart for Zan, a deeper love in my heart for my son. And it's that's been neat to me, seeing that at 55 years old, coming to see a love come from me that I've never known before.
Beautiful.
And,
So beautiful.
and I'm so thankful for that. And to think that I'm just getting started with that. And, I'm excited to see where it's going to go from here, and
There's a great poem that was read at our wedding, and Heather has a song about it. That
I'll just send it to you guys.
love is a threshing floor. If you're seeking comfort in love, you're choosing the wrong thing.
right.
We've been shown that's evolutionary love. It's going to be painful at times, but the fruit of it is like what you're saying. I'm experiencing a love that's so deeper than I could ever imagine, and it's a burning fire.
It is. I think it's,
To Johnny Cash.
all the ways that we have been domesticated into what we think love is. All of that has to be burned away, because if you think about, and I see it more all the time in myself in the subtle ways, love is, it's a feeling that follows diligent action towards doing the right thing for ourselves and for each other. And only God can help us do that.
Right.
It's like in our human self, we are so oriented towards comfort for ourselves, that a lot of times we don't even understand how deep that root runs. It's kind of the way of our world. It's built in a selfish kind of a way. And the sweetness is, like Jason said earlier, when we learn to die to the parts of us that are selfish, the love that comes from it, it's like, the oil that's squeezed out of an olive. It's so uncomfortable when it's being pressed, but what comes out of it is so much bigger. And we say it's in the presence of that love, everything changes, everything. If we're willing to be stripped down to that, and it's the cost is all of our selfish ways.
Right.
Right. And I think that's a nice offering for if there's anybody that's under 50 listening to this podcast, because the landscape for young love seems challenging, because they have expectations, because You can just swipe somebody away and you don't have to do the work. You can just say, oh, this isn't working out, and not look at
So
yourself.
true.
And they're missing out. And by the time they reach their wisdom years, then they will probably,
Mm-hmm.
understand. And this conversation will be of benefit to them.
Mm-hmm.
It's important, though, that we reconnect our hearts. And, the good news is that we do have TikTok and Instagram, and there is a lot about avoidant styles. And, I think they have awareness about it, but I don't know if they have such the practical use of it. So it's like,
Mm-hmm.
going the distance. So with that, I want to say that at the end of each episode, we throw something into the fire, and it doesn't necessarily have to be something you want to give up. It can be something you want energy from. But we'll go around the circle, and if you guys want, you can throw a word or a little statement or a sentence and let us know what it is that you want to release as we move through this next cycle. We're almost into May. Woohoo!
Man.
Yeah. Would you like to go?
Yeah, you want me to start?
Mm-hmm.
I'd like to bring to the fire the, we talked a lot about awareness, but recognizing when we're in that press as that olive, as the oil's being poured out, as that's not really a beautiful process. It is painful. But recognize that painful, to be able to recognize it and realize that, the best is yet to come. I'm in a growth spurt right now, and they hurt. Then not take it as the end of the world. To be able to relax and breathe through it a little better.
I love that.
It's hard. It's hard.
Yeah.
But I want. That's what I want to bring to the fire. Is the awareness of that, and the ability to start paying attention to the goodness that's going to come from it.
Mm-hmm.
Beautiful.
Heather?
I think I want to put in the fire the seeds of what is blossoming after a long season. We totally can relate to that painful pressing, because there were stretches of our journey where it really felt like, is this ever going to get easier? And there was, despite so much love being there, sometimes it's real work. And sometimes we get tired. And by the grace of God, we're entering into a season where a lot of the work that we've been doing is really blossoming, and we're enjoying the fruit of that in a new way, that is been sustained, that has been building momentum, that it feels like there's new possibility because there's a foundation of safety and trust and peace that has just been getting bigger. And so I think just putting in the fire any smallness or imposter syndrome of really growing into the next season of whatever God wants to do through our work and our relationship.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Well, I took it.
Oh, Tim.
It's good. No, I think
For one heart.
we are one heart.
Yeah.
It's so beautiful. I think I was really feeling into it. There's something in there, but I feel like I want to, what helps fire burn is air. And I want to breathe an intention. And just for the spirit of air to spread in a season on planet Earth where there's a lot of fear and separation. I want to breathe the power of love itself to permeate more, to grow and expand beyond the fearful illusions of separation. And just that this message of union, of conscious, evolved, evolutionary love relationship to grow into the conversation of how do we practically do that. So just the message of evolutionary love relationship, conscious love. That is what I want to put into this fire.
Mm,
Yeah, that's awesome.
love that. I'm going to put in the fire just what you had said, which is, the foundation has been built, and all the memories of so difficult, I want to put those in the fire, and I want to burn them, and I am air and he is fire, which is funny. Um, and I want to burn them because the phoenix that is rising is going to be very powerful as we begin our journey in about a month or so. There's going to be a lot different tests that we're going to have to go through as a newly engaged couple on the road with 3 dogs. And I'm just grateful that the worst is behind us.
Yeah,
Beautiful.
me too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
Beautiful.
thank you guys so much for
Yeah.
being here.
Thank y'all so much.
It's your words just beautifully land on our hearts, and hopefully to everybody listening out there. How can people work with you? Like, what's the best way for them to find you, and what kind of clients light you up? Like, give us, some information so that someone can be like, yeah, that's me.
Great question.
Yeah.
Why you pose that?
Totally. Well, first, they can reach us at thepowersoflove.com. And we can kind of maybe tag team. We've been really putting a lot of energy into identifying who the people that we're best suited to support and serve is. And I think it's, people, whether they're new on this journey or people that have been doing some inner work but are still struggling to have peace and sustained, connection and joy in their relationship. There's a lot of love, but they're just having a hard time really embodying it and sustaining it. I think those are the people that light us up the most.
I think just 2 individuals, that are ready to do the work. You've done traditional therapy, you've done, something that's just, and it's something you do want to salvage the relationship. And both parties, both of you want to put some work in there, not just one, it's got to be both. And at least a little bit of willingness, the Course in Miracles says, miracles can happen. And so, those that are willing to do something different than you've done before, because, the old adage is you keep doing the same thing over and over again, expecting a different result, you insane in the brain.
Yep.
Right. So, yeah, just those that are ready to, maybe it's a spiritual solution. I've done other things, and there's something else that's calling. So if you're willing to join in that space with us, that's the ones we love to work with the most.
Beautiful. So they just go to your website, and then they put their information in. So they call you, or you call them back
set
for
up a discovery call,
discovery
and
call.
figure out, just reach out to powersoflove.com. You can find us on all the socials, Facebook, Instagram. But powersoflove.com, send us a little message, say, I heard you, would love to find out more about, your offerings. We have all kinds of different ways of working with us. So
yeah, we're really excited because we're kind of going into a season. We're planning a retreat for next year, a couples retreat. We're really super excited about that. Along with the one-on-one coaching, we also do privately designed and curated immersive weekends for couples that want to have, that want to step out of their regular life, and like maybe a 90-minute session every week isn't quite enough. But something to really like reconnect back. And then we build upon that with the coaching as well.
Awesome. That sounds great. We want to go to your retreat.
Yeah.
Love that.
We would be so honored.
That would be so awesome.
Yeah.
We'll get the gang back together.
Yes. Let's make a date.
Well, congrats on your engagement, you guys. Thank you for having us.
Thank you.
I was just looking at us going, wow, we kind of mirror each other. We got a little gray-haired, bearded men.
Yeah.
And
some
blonde
blonde-haired,
girls.
blue-eyed beauties.
Yep.
Oh my word. I can say that this has probably been one of my favorite
Aww.
times in an interview kind of a situation, because it hasn't felt like an interview, it's felt like a conversation with
Dialogue.
friends. But you guys are awesome. You're wonderful.
Oh,
Just, yeah.
Well, thank you so much.
thank
Yeah.
you, honey. Thank you.
Yeah.
And we end every episode with love and light,
Ease and grace.
peace and blessings. May you find the
Amen.
fire within.
Yep.
Mm.
Much love.